Welcome to Jets Rewind. I'm Marty Schupak, and I'm joined by my two very close friends, Ralph Sharega up in Belmont, Mass, and Ray Clifford out in Marysville, Ohio. Today is Overreaction Tuesday, as the Jets lost last night to the San Francisco 49ers, 32-19. We're going to get right into it, but I just want to ask, how you guys doing today? Ralph, how you doing?
Oh, I couldn't be better. I was up a little in the middle of the night. Nothing better to do than to think about things I wanted to say on this show. So this will be a catharsis.
There you go. And Ray, how you doing?
Doing all right. Not overly shocked at the outcome, just at how we played.
Well, Ray, you're the smart one. You don't drink the Kool-Aid every summer like I do.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
So
It
far,
takes me a few weeks to start sipping on it.
so far, you two guys are
It's
more
already gone
right.
bad.
You're more right than me on Hassan Reddick. So I wonder I'd like to be a fly in the wall right now. But I'm going to start, and I'm going to say a couple of things. And one thing I'm going to pat myself in the back, and one thing I'm not. I just want to start with our coach. Anyone that thinks that we have a legitimate head coach, you really should look at the way he's done things the last few years. Whether they have Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, Zach Wilson at quarterback, Flacco. I mean, to me, and I was thinking about it, just the fundamentals out there and the little nuances that you don't see with great coaches. And, particularly with me, nothing bothers me more when they're about to make a third down stop and then they have a penalty on defense. It drives me crazy. And I'm thinking in particular, I think it happened twice. One was Jermaine Johnson. And the other thing is he maintains he's a defensive coach, which I would think that they would practice fundamentals, but the amount of hand tackling and not tackling low last night was incredible. We'll get to the defense in a minute. And talking about fundamentals and nuances, I got to tell you, as well as he looked for a short time in the first quarter, Garrett Wilson, what is he doing with his toe tapping? He's got to learn how to receive a pass near the sideline, and he's got to know the rule that also you can't go out of bounds and come back in. So I'm going to say one more thing that I'm going to ask Ralph first for his response. This is a little segment. Marty's right and wrong. I'm going to pat myself in the back that I was right about the defensive line versus the run.
You're right, Marty. I was going to say you were absolutely right about that.
I told you guys like 3 or 4 weeks ago, that's my biggest worry. I just don't see it happening. We made this guy Mason, look like Gale Sayers, so I was right about that. And just full disclosure, and I guess it's a mea culpa, but I was wrong about Ashton Davis. I don't know what the heck this guy's doing. To me, do you remember when you were little kids, you used to go around in a circle for like 10 seconds and try to keep your feet? To me, Ashton Davis went around in a circle for like a minute and he was trying to keep his feet. He doesn't want anything to do with tackling a Deebo Samuel. He looks so out of place, and he's only one of a few Jets. So with that, I'm going to get Ralph's reaction, then we're going to get Ray's reaction. Go ahead, Ralph.
All right, big picture first. We'll get to the details later, but my first reaction is the only word I can think of to describe last night was embarrassing. And I'm thinking 4 months to prepare for the 49ers, and this is what they gave us. And this is a guy who's worked with Kyle Shanahan for years, knows him. Now, Shanahan, of course, knows Saleh too, but you'd think it might be a little more even than this. To me, the Jets were playing two-hand touch while the 49ers were playing tackle, and Shanahan was playing chess while Saleh was playing checkers. It was worse than I could have ever imagined. Now, okay, Rodgers hasn't played in a year and a half. The offensive line, this is the first time they played together. Give him a little bit because of that. But they just weren't prepared mentally to play this game. Saleh always, one of the big things he puts priority on is he wants to be violent. He loves using that word. I want violence. They were playing flag football out there. Sauce Gardner, we know, can't tackle, and he's afraid to tackle. Ashton Davis is running around like a chicken with his head cut off. And the only guy to me who was really giving a legitimate effort on defense was Quincy Williams. He was sticking it. Everyone else didn't even show up. I mean, you'd figure these guys would be shot out of a cannon. They're so sick of training camp and going up against each other. It was just unbelievable.
It really was. Okay, and Ray, let's have your reaction, and then we'll do some give and take. Go ahead, Ray.
Okay. Well, you guys said, basically covered all the stuff that was wrong. I was really disappointed mostly in the defense. The offense, I could make some excuses for. Garrett Wilson, yeah, he should have toe tapped, but that wouldn't have changed the outcome of the game. So I'm not real. At that point, I was just frustrated because I wanted to see a drive, something that would happen. What frustrated me was the defense, and they couldn't get off that. They couldn't stop anything. After our 7-minute drive that made me really feel good when we scored, our lone, legitimate touchdown, after that, we couldn't stop San Francisco at any point. If it was 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 19, they would have gotten the first down easily. That's what bothered me. It wasn't even a lot of these receptions for like 10, 12 yards weren't even contested. The guy was and Kittle of all people, and guys, they're going to look for are wide open. I just couldn't wrap my head around how we could be that soft on defense. The offense, like Ralph said, that's the one thing about the preseason I wish they had done differently was at least in the last game, at least play 1/4 of the offense together. I know they don't want injuries, but you step into a game against a team that was basically one possession away from winning the Super Bowl last year, and you think you're going to not, that you're going to be ready for everything they do without ever playing together before that day. I like the inter-squad. I like the inter-squad scrimmages, and I like, how they went at it harder than any other training camp, whatever, but it's not the same as a game. And they did not look like they were ready to play an actual game. And it was frustrating. But to me, I was expecting more than we got, but I wasn't expecting to win. Obviously, I predicted they wouldn't win. I thought it would be a really good game, though. I was saying 31-28. I had San Francisco pretty right, but we were horrible. But it's game one.
We outscored them in touchdowns. You know that?
Yeah, we couldn't stop them from getting.
Have you heard a statistic about the fact that 8 straight possessions they scored? I've never heard of that in the NFL.
I haven't either.
I mean, to me, that'd be like Alabama playing my alma mater, Stony Brook, something like that. I don't expect it.
But like you say, there was only one touchdown, though. Yeah. The rest were all field goals.
Yeah, I mean, San Francisco actually played a sloppy game. They gave away 2 touchdowns on terrible plays, one of the drop and the other that penalty.
Right.
Or they should have been well into the 40s in this game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, not only that, but the time of possession was ridiculous. The Jets had the ball for 22 minutes and 50 seconds.
Well, that's the norm for us, isn't it?
Well, and according to, I saw this, I think Samini put it out, in Aaron Rodgers' 225 NFL starts, that's the least amount of time of possession he ever had.
Aaron Rodgers, welcome to our world.
And I think that Aaron Rodgers was one of the only positives of the game, just seeing him upright, and he made mistakes, but at least he looked like he's a quarterback. And, if this continues, we'll see what happens. But, I just want to start out, and I want to ask, actually, I'll ask Ralph, because you're the one that gave me the reaction. Ray, he was texting me, do I have the names of the inactives? And I finally found it. They could kind of hide it. And I could not believe that Leonard Taylor was inactive for this game. With his preseason, I don't know what they're doing. and I don't know what they think they have in the defensive line. Ralph, your reaction?
You know who slipped in there? We didn't realize was Jalen Holmes. They pulled him off the practice squad.
He made a mistake, but he did pretty good besides
He
that.
he was one of the few guys. Yeah, he
Yes.
showed a little.
Made
I,
a play.
I like the guy. I think he can play. I think I'd rather have him than Solomon Thomas, who's one of their teacher's pets on this team. That's no matter what he does, crappy, he's going to be there for whatever. They love the guy. Yeah, Leonard Taylor. I would hope he'll get activated for the next game. Let's see what he can do. He can't be any worse than what they showed. And I think it wasn't so much a physical thing. They were getting out schemed. They were lining up with these huge splits, and the 49ers were just taking advantage of them. And of course, no adjustments. I don't want to use it. Did you see the tennis match the other day? So in the second set, the guy for the American guy starts serving like lights out. And after 2 games like that, the other guy adjusts. He moves back, totally negates him. He doesn't wait 4 sets. I mean, what are they waiting for? It's obviously not working. The running game's obviously not working, but God, they're going to try and establish that run up the middle, whether it kills us or not.
Right. Ray, were you surprised at all that Leonard Taylor was not active?
No, I mean, I wasn't sure who they were going to go with being the first game. I would, looking back, yeah, I wish he was. I mean, but I don't know if that would have been. I don't know if anybody. And this talk about Reddick, I don't know that he would have made a big difference.
Not yesterday's game, no, because they were killing him between the tackles. That was
that's what I thought. They ran that guy. What was the runner that had 147 yards? He looked like Jim Brown.
Mason, yeah.
It was his name's Jordan Mason, I guess.
Jordan Mason, yeah.
Was an undrafted free agent.
Yeah, he's a good big back, but he's not that. I mean, we made him look like
well, we're never good at tackling runners who don't go down on the first hit. They just keep fighting. What he did yesterday kind of points out the devaluation of running backs.
Exactly, and I was going to bring that out, Ralph. That's why they're not going to re-sign Breece Hall. Remember,
I don't think so either.
They won't re-sign, but go ahead, Ralph. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, I doubt that McCaffrey would have gotten more than 150 yards. He would have done that too. I mean, the guy played well. He ran a lot after contact. A lot of that was on the Jets. As far as Breece Hall goes, when the hell are they going to stop running him up the middle on short yardage? He is not a short yardage back. He's a read and react back. That's what they drafted Braylon Allen for, and they don't even use him.
Exactly. I'm screaming on the short yard. I just say, "Where's Braylon Allen?"
Yep.
What's going on here, Ray? Your thoughts on Breece Hall?
I think they need to get him outside instead of up the middle. Same as
exactly.
I was surprised they didn't try throwing to him a little more, maybe out in the flat or something. I thought they'd actually use that more than they did, but. He's another of the ones who contributed to the problems on a drive. He got the ball punched out. I'm like, come on, you're a running back. These guys are going to be ball hawking. I mean, that was a great play by Warner, but still, that was an early killer. I mean, we couldn't get off to a good start early, but I think if they get him out to the outside more, either running or throwing, he tends to make more happen after the catch or after the handoff. When he's going outside, he can find seams, and he's a big guy, obviously, who can make something out of very little. But up the middle, he's not our guy, and that's where they kept going with him. Yeah, and I was the same. I think was that I was like, was that Braylon Allen who got stuffed on that play? And then I saw his number. I'm like, no, that was Breece Hall.
He just doesn't shoot. He waits for a hole to open, and that's not the way you have to do it on short. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Braylon Allen had 2 plays. He looked good at the end of the game.
Yeah.
I couldn't understand. Look, at this point, I just wanted to say, because I've been a big fan of his, for all those people that don't think Brock Purdy's legitimate NFL quarterback, this guy's a tremendous quarterback. I don't care what anyone says. He's not a dynamo like a Dan Marino or a Peyton Manning. But if you look closely, the little nuances as far as his play action, his head fakes, that he plays so smart, it's unbelievable. And it's funny because a couple of years ago, there were rumors that they were looking for another quarterback. They got their quarterback. This guy is just tremendous, and he's a pleasure to watch. And it was a beautiful pass to Ayuk, who dropped the ball. He should have had that. So I'm a huge Brock Purdy fan, always have been, and except for yesterday, I hope he does a good job the rest of the way. Did you guys notice that on offense, and I want to get to defense right away, though, for a while too, it seemed like it was just run, pass again.
Yeah, it's the same old crap. And, Salah, the first 2 years he ignored the offense. And this year he said, I'm going to have more of a hand in it. It's clear he just doesn't know offense. And while I thought the players were not good, I really thought that this game was more of a reflection on the coaching.
Right.
And, you look at Shanahan, the last 4 or 5 years, how many different coordinators he had? Almost every year, because teams are pulling them because they're successful. But what happens? The team always plays at a top level.
Right.
It's because the head coach has to have his hand in everything. Do you think Bill Parcells would have stood for some of this stuff, this run, pass? No, he would have just jumped in and said to the coordinator, you change this crap up. This is ridiculous. Salah just tolerates too much. And, you think about Keith Carter and the guy before him, John Benton. John Benton was pretty good with San Francisco. He's now on New Orleans, who put up 47 points the other day. Keith Carter had some success in Tennessee. I know you can say it was Derrick Henry, but, he had a good head coach. And to be honest with you, you can, as Kyle Shanahan, and up here in Boston, 20 years of watching Bill Belichick go through offensive and defense coordinators left and right. And no matter who was there, that team always played to a top level because it's the head coach. And much as I like Sal as a person, this has been going on for 3 years now. He just is not a good head coach.
He isn't. And Ray, I want to ask you about the Jets' defensive rush, but I also want to make a comment. I think, Ralph, they said last night that they've had four defensive
in 5 years. Yeah.
I guess going back to Salah.
Right. And I don't know how many offenses. I know McDonald's gone and someone else was before him. They've probably had 2 or 3.
Right. Yeah, Ray, I want to ask you, because another thing that drives me nuts, besides these third down penalties with the defense, what is it about the Jets sometimes when all they do is rush 4, but the opposing quarterback has guys open left and right, and it seems like there's a radius of like 5 to 8 yards around them when no one's around? What's the deal with that? What's the point of rushing 4 guys if they're that open?
Well, my initial thought is they're not playing man-to-man, they're playing zone, but they still have to have an awareness of what's going on around them to, adjust to where the players are going is all I can think. Because like I said, that's why I said Kittle wide open on a 3rd and long. Who's 15? Jennings. He had a bunch that he was basically wide open. DJ Reed got there, a step or 2 late to tackle him, but he had no chance of deflecting the pass. I don't mind us rushing 4 when we get some pressure, but there really wasn't.
Yeah, that's the key. Last year it worked. It worked the last 2 years. But without any pressure,
he sits back there and picks it apart.
Yeah.
The other thing we found out was that Sauce Gardner being out of the game, DJ Reed cannot be the number 1 DB.
Right.
We're just in trouble if Sauce goes out, because as soon as he went out for that series or 2, DJ Reed was just getting picked on all over the field.
And Ralph, I just want to mention our man Tack McKinley was a waste. he was invisible.
I watched him. He was giving effort, but nothing was happening. But everyone on the defensive line was invisible. Will McDonald, he got
was awful too.
1 pressure. He didn't do anything.
No.
Braden McGregor got a penalty. That's what I know about him. What is it? The Jets, it was phenomenal. In the first, it seemed like they didn't get a penalty till well into the second quarter. But then when they started getting them, they were waiting for when there was a good play they'd make.
It's like, okay, go.
Yeah, always like that. I was thinking San Francisco. They remember your guy Purdy missed Juszczyk going down the sideline.
Yes.
He was like holding by 30 yards. They gave up 3 touchdowns. It was
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Ray, I know you were at the bar and it was noisy and everything. Ralph and I were trading text, and there was a lot of X-rated text from Ralph about Tyron Smith, the, the Jets left tackle. And I didn't think the Jets offensive line, as bad as they were run blocking, Ray, what did you think about the pass blocking as a whole?
I thought overall the offensive line, considering it was their first game, wasn't horrendous. I thought, obviously they can do better, no doubt. They can open some holes for running, and I think they will. I think if they stay healthy and stay together, that offensive line will actually be okay as we go along. When you said about the play calling, run, pass, I was a little disappointed in Rodgers on that too. I thought he'd audible. I thought he'd audible out of it, but he didn't. He stuck with the whatever Hackett was calling. Apparently, I mean, it didn't look like he was audibling very much. So,
No,
I don't.
absolutely right. They pointed out a couple times when he changed the plays, but you're right,
Yeah.
Ralph.
Marty, let me talk about Tyron Smith because I was watching him. I was very curious. This guy's a Hall of Famer, right? He's like a block of granite. And from play number one, their pass blocking was a little better than their run blocking, but his footwork was not good. He was not on balance a lot. And at first he was blocking Leonard Floyd, and it looked dicey. And then Bosa flipped over, and he blew by him a couple of times. Later in the game, he settled down a little, and I'm hoping that this is just first game jitters or first game just rust, because I was beginning to wonder, did Dallas get rid of him because he was injury prone or because they thought his game was slipping? Because it's concerning to me.
Yeah, probably both. And it's interesting. You both saw, like, when he had to go out and get an IV, Trent Williams, and boy, that guy looks so out of shape. But
he looks out of shape, but he was solid. I was watching him too.
I'm saying you have Trent Williams
didn't even show up at training camp.
I know, and you have Tyron Smith. And it's like unbelievable. The contrast between those guys was just ridiculous. I couldn't believe it. I'm watching it with my wife, and she's saying, "Does that guy play?" I go, "Yeah, he plays one of the best." He says, "He doesn't look like he's able to play." I go, "Oh, he's really good." He was like so out of shape, and it looks like he was huffing and puffing going into the locker room. I just very, very disappointed in Tyron Smith. Ray, the Niners' offensive line, to me, I always use the expression roller skates. Certain teams, they get pushed, and it looks like the defensive line is just going backwards like they're on roller skates. And I played a little bit of football, and I know I've been on both sides of that. Why is it that some teams, they get that push? It doesn't seem the Jets could ever get that push except
Never.
Going back to when they had that offensive line with Thomas Jones. To me, that's when the last time they were really getting that push. What is it, Ray?
Talent level, mainly. I mean, we went until this past year for the most part, and I know we went after Becton, to try and help, and that didn't work out. But they didn't focus on
AVT, Tippmann. They've drafted plenty of guys. Yeah.
Well, AVT was, no injuries in USC, and now he's had injuries. I mean, I think he's somebody who I expect a lot out of as the year goes on. And Tippmann, he's still rounding into shape as a center, but they don't have road graders like we had with Faneca and when we had Brandon Moore and guys like that. They don't have guys who can just push back.
I feel like the coaching has a lot to do with it too. I really do.
I bet it does. I bet if we had Bill Callahan still, we'd be a whole different offensive line.
Marty, remember, I think it was Zach Wilson's rookie year. They played Buffalo. It was either his rookie or his second year. And it was at New York, and it was just before the bye week, and the Jets were down and they had the ball like within the last 5 minutes. They were about their own 10-yard line, and they ran the ball the whole length of the field.
I remember that.
It was like, that was such a fluke. I mean, it was.
I remember that. You're absolutely right. I was watching again because I keep running the ball. Just run the ball. Don't pass. Run the ball. You're absolutely right.
I mean, it was unbelievable, and that's like one one time in like since in 15 years. That's
Yeah.
about it.
It's like once in a while you get this momentum and you're just like unstoppable. But I agree with you, both you guys, that as far as Brees Hall, running him like up the middle, it's just so difficult to do. And I was so upset that I didn't see Braylon Allen in there till the very end, especially when we had the short yardage offense. Why did he even draft the guy? Use him. He looked very, very good. It was just driving me nuts, this guy.
Well, you know what play really drove me nuts was the 3rd down and 1. They had the ball. They're down 16. There's about 8.5 minutes left. It's possible. It's unlikely, but it's possible. First thing they do is run one up the middle. Waste of like 35 seconds right there. Now, when they get this 3rd down and 1, they bring in an offensive lineman in the backfield. They're basically telling the 49ers, we're going to run it up the middle. And you can see the 49ers are all stacked up there. They need a big play. It's 3rd down. It's 4th down territory. Why not take a shot down the field with a play action? I think something good could have happened there. I mean, they're not going to nickel and dime it for 2 long drives with 8 minutes left. It's ridiculous. But they just won't go for it. You know, they just want to impose their will, you know, and it's just ridiculous.
It is. And you're right. Purdy was doing the play action very well, too. Let me just read off a few stats. Mentioning Brock Purdy, he was 19 for 29, 231 yards, 89.9 quarterback rating. To me, he was a lot better than that. Aaron Rodgers, 13 for 21, 167 yards. 82.8 quarterback rating. Tyrod Taylor, 6 for 8, 1 touchdown. His quarterback rating is 122.9. Russian, Brees Hall, 16 for 54. Jordan Mason, 28 for 147. Mason averaged 5.3 yards a carry. We didn't talk about him because I think he just started out giving everyone such a bad taste when he dropped that 3rd down pass. But Alan Lazard had 6 receptions for 89 yards. And one of the nicest plays you saw was that 26-yard gain around the left side where Aaron Rodgers threw him a pass and landed right in there. That was beautiful.
Yeah. By the way, Brees Hall had a drop too. That was an untimely drop.
Yes, he did. Yep. And here's one for Ralph. Ralph, guess who led the Jets in tackling?
It wasn't Ashton Davis. I'm going to guess Tony Adams.
Tony Adams had 12 total, 8 solo, and 1 sack, which I don't even remember.
Yeah, I don't remember it either. They got that Jets for 3 sacks. I think they're dreaming. They've Sauce Gardner. Did he have a sack? They have been listed for a sack.
Yeah, they had listed for a sack too.
Clemens got a sack when basically he was standing there and Purdy just went into the fetal position. Right. And Clemens happened to be the closest guy to him.
Yeah.
So
I thought Jamie Sherwood actually started out pretty good, and then he
had one good play and then he kind of disappeared.
And Ray, I don't know about you, but I thought Michael Carter didn't have a good game.
No.
Oh no, he got burned a few times too. On, you know, just I didn't like anything about our defensive backfield other than Sauce had a pretty good game for the most part when he was in there, but the rest of the guys couldn't keep up with anybody for some reason.
It looked like Sauce got disciplined for something because he wasn't hurt.
It was weird. He kind of stayed. He made a tackle. It looked like he hit his shoulder on the guy. He stayed kind of down, kneeling down for a minute, and then next thing I know, he's off the field. But they said he wasn't injured, so I don't know what the deal was there.
Well, it's been all over the internet. You know, it's one of these conspiracy theories that they give an answer. But
I love those.
I didn't stay up. I was so upset. I usually watch Salah's press conference, but his remarks,
answer,
it was that we just want him to catch his breath.
Yeah, he had to catch his breath.
So I don't know what that means, but it was very upsetting. And now I guess we travel to Tennessee, and it's a winnable game. And I guess we'll be back on the air Friday. But any more comments about the game? First, Ralph, then I'll ask you, Ray.
Yeah, we'll end on a positive note. Last year at this time, the Jets were 1-0, and this year they're 0-1. And at which point, what do we feel better? Last year after that game or this year after this game? The answer is this year by a lot, okay? So that's one thing. Another thing, you know, teams lose their first game and do quite well. I'll give you 2 examples. when Brady went to Tampa, they got beaten badly by New Orleans opening game. Brady said it took him a while to get used to the new system. In 2003, the Patriots opened up at Buffalo, and Buffalo was not a good team then. They lost that game 31-0. They ended up going 14-2 and winning the Super Bowl. So, it's not the end of the world. But the one thing last year when Rodgers got hurt, I had this horrible pain in my gut thinking we got to go through another year of Zach Wilson. This year, after watching this game, I'm thinking another year of Robert Saleh, and it's going to be tough.
It really is. It's true. Ray, any last thoughts about the game of Robert Saleh or anything, Hassan Reddick, or you name it?
Well, on the team, we went over the team, and I like we said, I didn't have the high expectations. I think this, in some ways, could have been the best thing that happened to Jets fans to get them, out of the mindset of, hey, we're gonna, breeze through the season and Super Bowl baby and watch out Chiefs and all that garbage can just go out the window for a while anyway. And as Ralph said a couple times last week, and it's so true. This is not a sprint; it's a marathon. It's game one, and we played the team that almost won the Super Bowl last year in their stadium for game one. So I wasn't shocked that San Fran outplayed us when we have a bunch of new guys. We're learning a new system. This week's game coming up, I feel differently. I'm like, this is more of a you better win this game type of thing. This is the kind of game we should win.
I got to ask you both because I know I overreact. I'm going to ask Ray, and then I want Ralph to answer. Am I overreacting to these fundamental mistakes that I keep repeating with the third down penalties, with the arm tackling? I keep seeing this over and over and over again, not just with the coach, with this team every goddamn year.
Well, I thought their tackling was good the last couple of years on defense. I'm not. It was horrible last night, but I'm gonna wait and see on that. As far as the penalties go, the Jets have always been bad with untimely penalties. A lot of stupid things, mental mistakes from Garrett Wilson. I don't know. Like I said, the 49ers screwed up a lot last night too. The problem was they played well the other times. The Jets screwed up and then they played lousy.
Okay, Ray, walk me off the ledge because I'm going nuts with these fundamental mistakes and nuances. And I mean, all I do is have these, these awful dreams. I keep reliving John Franklin Myers hitting the quarterback against the Patriots. And
$50 for that mention.
Okay. Let's start with the appropriately named episode of Overreaction Tuesday, because Marty, that is you to a T. If you were the coach, so many guys would be benched mid-game and then back in there to give another try because somebody else got benched. Garrett Wilson doesn't need to be told, hey, you should have tapped your toe. He knows he's a better receiver than that. I know he went out of bounds on the one. I didn't see how it happened. So I don't know if he just went out of bounds and came in on his own or if it was something where he was bumped out. I don't know how that one came about.
After that happened, you were at the bar. I text Ralph. I said, Ralph, does Garrett Wilson know the ruls?
Like Rory said, I don't know if he got bumped out, but if he did get bumped out, then doesn't that negate that whole thing?
I think if you bump out, you still have to establish yourself. So I don't know how it all played. They didn't really do a replay on him going out that I remember. I just know they said he stepped out and came back. That bothered me.
One other comment, Kyle Shanahan takes advantage of all of his assets. Where was Gibson? Where was Mike Williams in front of him?
Where was Mike Williams?
Where's Allen? I mean, where's the tight end?
Well, how about according to
Conklin,
Saleh? Wait, the next guy, the third best receiver they had in the draft, Malachi Corley.
Exactly.
Did he even make it on the field?
No, I did not see him even on the field.
His name, I didn't see him.
I guess he was babying all the rookies, basically saying,
he should throw to Rucker once in a while. He should throw to Conklin. They
didn't throw once to the tight ends, did they?
Yeah, one. Conklin towards the end.
Conklin had one catch, I think.
Oh, was that with Taylor or with Rodgers?
But the other thing is too, I wish Garrett Wilson somehow, and I know it'll never happen, could change his number back to 17.
Why?
I can't get used to number 5.
Yeah, it's difficult. I keep forgetting who that is.
Yeah.
Nah,
You know,
you'll get
it's like tattooed from the same year. All right, I think we're gonna close this out. It's I feel a lot better now. You guys, like I said, talked me off the ledge.
Oh, yeah, I feel better too. Very, very, very
Yeah,
satisfying.
Ray feels better too. Ray doesn't. In fact, his back feels better from this.
Even if nobody listens to this, it was worth it.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna close it out for Ray Clifford, Ralph Schrager, Marty Schupak. We should be on the air Friday as we will preview the Tennessee Titans, which I think most of our coaching staff is from that team, except our head coach. Is that right, Ralph?
On offense, yeah, there's Downing and there's Carter and who the heck knows, and probably some players
Doesn't
too.
matter. It doesn't matter. All right. So until next time, this has been Jets Rewind.